Two, one. And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White, and if you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back. Episode 194, I believe, of the Constitutionals podcast. Let me get the ball rolling. Oh, my God. I might sound like I'm out of breath. It's because I am. I ran all half a foot to the camera to make sure that it is indeed running, and I pray to God it is. I had to poop out some other behind-the-scenes stuff. I had to poop out news time this week. It was already planned. It was planned about 2 weeks ago, and I just didn't feel like writing a script. And now it's written. Yeah, it's been shot and edited all in the same day. It was written yesterday. So there you go. Hey, let's get right into it. Let's get right into this. I can't hear myself. I need a DAC. I need a separate DAC so I can hear myself. And the DAC it's audio terms. It's a device. You can turn up the volume of the headphones, and it cleans up the thing. Excuse me. Fell asleep. Anywhoosers, let's get right into it. The first things first. This is a story that came out late last week, I believe. Yes, February 19th. And the Amber Ruffin show gets an NBC slot replacing Late Night with Lily Singh repeats. So, Amber Ruffin, writer on Late Night with Seth Meyers, he and Mike Shoemaker's production company just reached an overall deal with NBC. And Seth is going to be hosting Late Night well into 2025. And my response to that was, oh, I guess I won't be hosting anytime soon. So, that was a legit thing I said. Huh. I guess if you don't know, Seth is probably my second favorite late night host, right after Conan, of course. And anyway, so Amber Ruffin is a writer on Late Night with Seth Meyers. She got her own show on Peacock. She's still a writer on Late Night with Seth Meyers, but she got her own show on Peacock called The Amber Ruffin Show. Great show, runs weekly. They shoot on Fridays, air on Fridays at 9 p.m., I think, on Peacock. So, Lily Singh, she took over Carson Daly's 1 a.m. slot. He's not hosting the show, but her show runs 4 nights a week like Seth's show does. So, the smart thing to do would be to take this basically free show on Peacock that you have and to air it and to get more viewers. Anything helps, because I don't think NBC, Fox, and ABC... And I don't think CBS, but don't quote me on that. That could be the title of this show. Don't quote me on that. Might change it to that. But I don't think that they do live plus 3-day ratings anymore. I don't think that they definitely don't do same day ratings anymore. So I think for the Nielsen ratings. So I don't think any of that really matters. So great. Amber Ruffin's late night show gets some Friday night slots. The first one will be in March, I believe, or this week. It's either tonight, the day this is recording. Yep, Friday, February 26th and March 5th. She gets that 1:30 a.m. slot. Okay, moving on. This next one comes from Variety, written by Jim Oswald. Spotify to launch Hifi option later this year. Paid out $5 billion in royalties in 2020. Now, I don't care about the Hifi option. I do care about the royalty part, because royalties are very important. In the 80s and 90s, they were untethered. We have an audience. My cat is watching me. It is currently 4:36. She eats at 6 o'clock. She's waiting by her bowl right now. Anyway. So royalties used to be these wild, crazy things. You can make so much money for making one song. I believe the gentleman or the band that did Spirit in the Sky, because I think that song is about God. They're best known for that song, and they've made bank off of that. Don't comment on that. But they've made like a killing off of that, and that song's from the 70s. So right around the late 90s, early 2000s, these things get a lot more tough and strict, more so for the artists because the companies want more money. And that's why people like Travis Scott or Nicki Minaj, they try to bundle in their CDs with merchandise sales so that they can count their CD sales for the total gross, and make more money than they would streaming or, not to anything that's not involving touring, which is where they make their bank, touring and merchandise, obviously. So now we get to the spot where they talk about these royalties. Obviously, Spotify in the past was not paying out royalties or not paying out enough. Again, streaming, it does not help your artist at all, like at all. You have to listen to a song 1,000 times before it pays out like a penny or something like that. I've done episodes of News Time on this. I can't think of the numbers right now, but go check them out regardless. So Spotify in their Stream On presentation this week talked about these numbers. Okay. CEO and co-founder Daniel Ek also said the company paid over $5 billion in 2020, and Chief Content Officer Don Ostroff announced that over the last 4 years, the number of recording artists who catalog generated more than $1 million a year across recording and publishing is up over 82% to more than 800 artists, and the number generated more than $100,000 a year is up and the number generating more than $100,000 a year is up 79%, more than 7,500 artists. I don't really understand that. Let's go out to this. Oh, that's it. Okay, no, here we go. Total revenue for the recording industry in 2008 was $17 billion, dipped to $14 billion in 2014, but in 2019, thanks to streaming, it rose up to $20 billion. Spotify paid out $5 billion of those royalties in 2020. This guy is like defending. Okay, there's really no percentage or numbers here because they're providing their own numbers. What they're really just saying is that, hey, we're doing better when it comes to providing royalties. I think the interesting, obviously there's more music. That's not an excuse not to pay royalties or to brag like, hey, we're paying out royalties. There's more music, but in the same vein though, I wonder. Spotify is the first tech unicorn to break even and make money because they were in the green a couple of months ago. I don't exactly remember when. I know last year at some point they were in the green because they're the first one to make money, and I don't know if they're still losing. I don't know if they've gotten to a point again where they're losing money. That doesn't mean that they're failing. It just means that they are paying out more than they have. Netflix does that. Who else? I can't think of anybody else but Netflix because it's like the biggest thing. So I wonder if this is sustainable for them. But they are the biggest streaming platform. So it would everybody uses them, and I would love to use them. But YouTube Music, just for YouTube. So yeah, I just hope this is sustainable for them, so they can continue paying artists because nobody likes not getting paid. Hey, look at me. I don't have a job, and this is what I do all day. Read articles about entertainment, business news. Moving on. You know what? Hold on. I want to switch these around. Speaking of streaming, no, I can knock this out in the next 4 minutes. This comes from Variety. Gene Mattis. Disney is keeping 80% of its streaming revenue by calling it home video. So a long, long, long time ago, Disney ruled the VHS sector. And VHSs used to cost so much more than what Blu-rays and DVDs cost today. And you used to watch the mess out of a VHS. And if you had a Disney VHS, you were sitting pretty because they used to have this thing called the vault. Obviously, and if you know this, then everyone knows this. They used to have the thing called the vault. I can hear the beeping from the dumpster, not dumpster, the trash chute. It's outside. The giant trash chute dumpster that is 4 floors down, and this is getting way too specific, and about 200 feet that way in my apartment complex. It's crazy how loud that beeping is. But it's better that than the traffic from Highland on the other side of the complex. So anyway, very specific where I live. So the vault, they used to take the movies and mostly the movies in the VHS format, and then soon to be DVD format and Blu-ray format. Even the Blu-ray format, they used to take before Disney Plus, they used to take all of their stuff and put it behind a vault, and then take it out from the vault, and then for a limited time, you can have the diamond edition of the Lion King, and it has all the special features. It's more special features than the release that came out 3 years prior than that, and the release that came out 4 years prior to that, and the release that came out in the VHS. So obviously with the release of Disney Plus, the vault was no more. Thank God. So now Disney needs a way to make more money with the streaming thing, and this is part of the reason why I can see them why they left Netflix and made their own thing. Okay. So now Disney is revealed that Disney has been keeping 80% of the revenue from older shows that it distributes to streaming platforms, leaving 20% for the stars and everyone else to profit. Stars, the people, the producers who are still making money, top of the line, I guess. Top of the line. Shut up. It's because it's classifying the revenue as home video. Under a formula dating from the introduction of the VCR, Disney subtracts an 80% royalty to its in-house distributor to cover the cost of distribution. In 2017, Bill Nye, star of Bill Nye's Science Guy, challenged the practice, calling it yet another example of Hollywood accounting. He's did a lawsuit, said that Disney were making millions of dollars without justification. The judge sided with Disney. Judge David Cowan ruled that Nye's 1993 contract allows the studio to continue to classify streaming and download revenue as home video and to continue to take the 80% royalty. Nye's attorney, Raymond Hamrick, said that he would appeal. It's one of the few cases where I agree with Bill Nye because, that science stuff, I'm not a fan. No, but Bill is correct. In challenging this, even for he's technically defending Amazon and Netflix and other streamers. Disney, everybody thinks they're such a non-company company. They're a non-corporate company. They're still as ruthless and cutthroat as Apple and as Facebook and the rest. Could never say that without thinking of the Gilligan's Island theme song. The first season, of that. But, it all boils down to, no matter what I say, is this fair? And no, it's not, because it's the corporation taking the bigger cut that it should not be allowed to take. And you can say, oh, read the contract, but that was, not everybody. Everybody was. The Jerky Boys had a movie in the 90s, or in the 90s. But not everybody's getting a deal. And when you're ready to make this show or the movie, then you sign and you basically sign away your rights. Or you can't talk them out of that kind of clause. Now I would wonder, if Netflix is pulling the same thing when it sells BoJack Horseman to Comedy Central to air that, or if Universal is doing the same thing when it says, hey, you can have The Office repeats Comedy Central again, or Cozy TV has Office repeats, because it's technically not syndication; it's like a richer form of that. And by the way, if it's working, from 1993, it feels future proof. So I wonder if there's a loophole for anybody else, or for somebody to work around that, or to get that out of their contract for something that's 28 years ago at this point. I don't know. I don't have the answer, so please stop asking. Listen, we're gonna take a break, and we come back. We're going to talk about some more stuff. Here we go. Going to break right now. And we are back. from break. The first time I'm sitting down in the chair, got my headphones on, ready to come back. I am messing with the microphone as we speak, trying to make sure that it is clipped onto the desk. It is clipped onto the desk or clamped on. I knocked out 3 stories. 3 stories. So yes, I did just get done finishing news time. Because it's hard to be driven when you don't have a job and you're just like waiting. And you're just like applying to stuff all week long. I will tell you that I'm sitting here, applying to jobs for a couple hours, and then it hits noon. And at this point, I'm standing up from the desk. I'm like pacing around. Like the past 2 days, it's just been me like standing up, pacing around, listening to whatever is on Sirius XM. It just, just 88 Rising. I'm a huge fan of right now, that channel. Or I found some salsa playlists on YouTube Music. So that's what I've just been jamming out to take my mind off of everything. And also hanging out with Nova whenever she wants to hang out. She's a cat. She's going around to different places. I had the patio door open last night because it was... What the heck was that closing sound? It was inexplicably hot. And I'm saying? It's climate. We're dealing with climate change right now. And people are like, oh, it's so beautiful outside. Oh, it's nice and warm. Oh, I'm sick of the cold. It's 77 degrees in February. Come on. Stop it. And put on a mask, you perv. Put on a mask, you perv. Anyway. So I had the patio door open. She went outside on the patio. She's very trepidatious about going out there. Very scared, very skittish about all that. And she like sits out there, watches birds and stuff. I'm thinking about getting chicken wire and putting it on the fence that's out there because I don't want her to do anything. But she's very, so far, cautious. So that's good. Because sometimes I'll, I come home from the gym and I'll make us both breakfast. We eat together. And then like I'll go take a shower, and she'll be sitting on. I have this the futon is still here, so it's catty cornered to the couch. So I have it. So it's up against the windows, and so she sits on the ledge and she watches outside the patio window, and just sometimes there's birds out there tweeting, and they're sitting on the roof and stuff, and she can see them from her spot, and. Sometimes she like reacts and she starts, like trying to, get at them. Sometimes she just sits there peacefully and watches them. And I'm just afraid of what she might do if the door is open and she goes outside and they're out there. Anyway, 3 minutes. Let's get on. 3 minutes of just me talking. This next one comes from The Wrap, talking about New York Times, written by Lindsay Elfson. I think it's the second time I've done that. New York Times releases uncomfortable diversity report. We cannot accept this. Uncomfortable. We cannot accept this. We're in quotes. The New York Times on Wednesday released the results of an 8-month investigation into its workplace culture and diversity, and announced a 4-point plan to, quote, transform our culture to address shortcomings. The study, headed by editors Amber Guild, Carolyn Ryan, and Anand Venkatson, found that Asian American women on staff reported feeling invisible, while Black and Latino staffers are underrepresented in leadership. We cannot accept this, they said. In addition, Times publisher A.G. Sulzberger, CEO Meredith Kopit Levin, and executive editor Dean Beckwith, who's still there for some reason, promised a, quote, bold plan for building a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive New York Times, one that reflects our unchanging mission, our growing business ambitions, and our aspirations for the kind of company we intend to be. So now there's 400 staffers across the divisions in New York Times. They found that people of color not only were underrepresented in the paper, but also subjected to unfair treatment. So what's interesting, I'm a fan of the New York Times. I currently paying them money to read their paper, to play their crossword. I'm paying for the premium version. And yes, I have no job still. And speaking of jobs, I applied to 2 New York Times positions, and one of them I was rejected for yesterday, par for the course. But that gets me thinking. There is not that much diversity, if any, at the New York Times. I could probably, I'm not going to say count them on one hand, but same thing at Atlantic, whenever I see, someone brown or a cultural sounding name, right? I rolled my eyes because I felt like that was the easiest thing to say. A name that's not like, John Smith or Jesse Smith, those Dart Smiths. Whenever I see, names that are outside the norm or writers outside the norm, I always think, wow, this is like, it's always a big event, especially at the Atlantic. It's always a big event for me because I go, whoa, and the camera turned off. I go, whoa, this, like, look at that. That's a big thing. Hold on. I'm going to pause the podcast and then I'll be right back. All right. You didn't even know that I left. I didn't even tell you that I paused it. And I am making sure that is recording this time. So anyway, and it shouldn't be an event whenever someone brown writes something or does something for the Post or the New York Times or any of these big publications. But now, sadly, we are in a place where that is the case. So the New York Times, you can do this internal investigation and call yourself out, but in the end, and this is what I get into in this week's episode of News Time, which is about black people and overall people of color and women in the tech world in Silicon Valley. What are you going to do? Like, are you actually going to enact on these promises of saying, hey, we need to do something? Because in News Time, you'll find out that Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, and Google all said in 2014, they all did the self-diagnosed thing and said, man, we are not doing well at all with this diversity thing. We're going to do something about it. And then 5 years later in 2019, thanks to the People of Color in Tech report, it is found out that they did nothing. In fact, Facebook lost people of color. And another thing is it's retention. Another problem is retention. It's about the New York Times giving people of color in particular a voice, because that's one of the issues that you feel underrepresented for people, for black people or Latino people, or Asian people, and the rest and the rest. You give them a voice so that they are able to be heard on the editorial side, be heard on the managerial side. Let them have seniority. Let them be have just as much power as their white contemporaries did. The white coworkers that now work there do. It's just insane that we're still sitting like this, still working like this. It's stupid. The Times committed to increasing percentage of black and Latino employees in leadership roles by 50% by the end of 2025 and create a diversity, equity, and inclusion office in its human resources department. Listen, I'm going to say this again. Freaking hire me. Like, I'm free. I'm really good at what I do. Let's just do it, baby. But seriously, it does take, whenever you apply to a job and they ask, what race are you? What's your sex? I always feel that, it may be for a good reason, but I always feel that, that never helps out in the long run. If I say black male, they're going to go, ooh, I don't think I want to hire him. So if I'd said, white guy, I think they would, or white woman, they would go, seems pretty good. This Chad person. I don't know. It's just, let's get a move on. Let's push these things. Let's actually do stuff. Because if you don't, that's when you have things like, and they mentioned at the bottom of this article, Ms. Allison does, the Tom Cotton piece that came out in the summer that was called "Send in the Troops," where that Senator Tom Cotton, that racist butthole, said that they should send in the military because of the Black Lives Matter protests, and people should be arrested and stuff. whereas he was virtually quiet for what happened on January 6th at the Capitol. Jesus. I mean, it's just frustrating. And then James Bennett left the paper because of that stuff. Because he let this Tom Cotton thing go through. I remember the day that happened too. It was crazy because I saw that it was in the top piece. It's like a featured piece in the opinion side, and I clicked on it. And I just went, "What the hell is this?" And then I just sometimes they publish stuff that's a little bit more conservative, and I just thought nothing of it. And then the next day people were pissed, and I went, "Yeah, it doesn't make sense." All right, let's move on. Hire me, New York Times. I'm not doing anything. You guys could use younger people. You know what? And yes, I know I've said, oh God, what is her name? Taylor, what's her name? I know I said I have a crush on her. Oh God, I forgot her name. It doesn't even matter because Taylor Lorenz. I follow her on Instagram. Taylor Lorenz. I know I said I like Taylor Lorenz. I have a huge crush on her and she's cute. And stuff. But listen, baby, I'm not going to hit on her. We'll be coworkers. We'll just let things happen naturally. Okay, let's go. Speaking of New York Times, this comes from them. The Reply All podcast is paused after accusations of toxic culture. Written by Katie Robertson and Jenny Gross. Okay, Reply All is a podcast owned by Gimlet, produced by Gimlet, and then now owned by Spotify. So, Reply All had a 2-minute statement released on the Reply All feed called A Message from Reply All Staff by co-host Alex Goldman, who told listeners that the senior reporter, Surithi Pinamenamini, and the co-host PJ Vogt had decided to leave the podcast. Last week, former colleagues accused them of rallying against a union effort that many employees of color saw as necessary for increasing diversity and creating a more equal workplace. So we get into the details of this. We find that the accusations are true, and that they were actually creating a toxic work environment. Because they'd created their own version of what their show. They had a show called Test Kitchen. They had created their own version of that was about the Bon Appetit thing. Whatever happened to that in the summer. Then now they're creating their own version of that. And it does happen both ways. This is sadly this happened to, it's good that this happened. But sadly this happened to, a company that has been, pretty much out of the way. But now that we have this out in the air, maybe this union effort for diversification can be pushed forward in a manner that is more that can help out more people. Reply All is going to be not happening for a little bit. The show started in 2014. They adapted it from TLDR, from the WNYC radio show. Episodes in recent years have taken listeners inside phone scam rings in India and on a journey to track down a song that a director heard on the radio as a teenager. I think I listened to that episode because I think I've never heard of this show until that episode. Mr. Eddings and other former Gimlet employees, because I didn't specify who this Eddings guy was, said that Mr. Vogt and Ms. Pina Menini, there we go, vigorously opposed efforts to unionize, which employees of color saw as the only way to create an environment where they could succeed, and that the pair were dismissive of efforts to diversify the staff. In one instance, according to one staffer, Mr. Vogt sent disparaging text messages to a Gimlet employee who was involved in a unionization effort that left the employee in tears. So I think, and I'm not defending them, but I think what they were trying to do, the people who left, Pinamini and Vogt, were trying to. I think the upper echelon gets in trouble when people try to unionize, because unions create trouble for companies. look at the police unions. But then, on the other hand, they're really good for protecting the employees. They're giving them rights, such as this diversity union that was trying to be started at Gimlet. I feel for these workers. I truly understand where they're coming from. And, maybe this can be used as a resetting tool. And for Spotify and Gimlet as a whole and the Ringer to all look within themselves and see, is there any more of this stuff that we can flush out? Because it does not need to exist. We are in a world, in a pantheon, a place where this stuff just shouldn't be, like, we shouldn't be fighting about this still. And now that we're more open, say what you will about the whole cancellation stuff, but now that we're more open about talking about this and putting the people who are in trouble on blast, not doxing them and saying kill yourself and all that stuff, but putting them on blast, just laugh at suicide, then that's the only way that we're going to be able to move forward, because otherwise we're no better. These companies are no better than how they're no better than what they think they are and than what we think they are. Look at Disney. The camera shut off again. Okay, listen, I gotta go. This camera is giving me trouble. If you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see interviews with their favorite comedians from last year, because there's nothing that's happening so far this year. If you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. I'm scratching my mustache and my nose. If that's the noise you like hearing. youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see a video version of this show where I'm sitting down. Just adjusted the gain mic because it was too low. Where I'm sitting down, talking. Sometimes the camera works, sometimes it does not. It's all right. It's fine. There's worse things out in the world. Also on that, youtube.com/cpluscomedy is our video premiere show. Premiere news magazine show. News time. It's like the Daily Show, except way less funny. Take one story, examine it. This week is the conclusion of Black History Month. I talk about Black people and people of color and women in tech, in big tech like Silicon Valley. Guess what? It still sucks. I think someone's vacuuming the concrete floors outside. That's what it sounds like. You could also, I'm laughing so hard. You can also, what else is going on this week? News time. Okay, that's it. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at @CPlusComedy. All of that. Me at Chad Black White. Thank you. Rate, review, subscribe. I appreciate you. You're the best. Goodbye.